In this video, I'm going to talk about one of the subjects on the first page again, which is going to be our basic range of motion. So I will go ahead and I'll just show you these numbers here. That's the general, what's healthy degrees of rotation in the most important parts. So when it comes to the hips, when it comes to the torso, when it comes to the head, there is a certain degrees that we like to see we have them. So that usually this number means a little better health of this area and also a good blood flow and good ability to activate those parts. Now, because I want to put this towards the movement in the golf swing, I did pick the wrist range of motion for today video, and just to go over some of the actions we have to know how they work in the golf swing and what we can do in order to practice or activate them better. So stay with me. We're gonna start with the wrist range of motions options. Alright, so the wrist, as most of you know, they are very important in the golf swing. So we're gonna go and describe the range of motion ability, and I'm also gonna give you some tips about what you can do in order to practice at home and improve the flexibility and control in the wrist. Alright, so the wrist, first of all, have a 6 range of motion abilities. Rotating them inward, it's gonna be called pronation. Then we have a supination. Then the wrist can flex, or we call this flexion, and the wrist can extend, and we call this extension. Also, we have a radial deviation and an ulnar deviation. So going through the golf swing, we'll have those actions in certain order in order to get to the good flow. And for example, if I go with my extension or the radial deviation, the other arm, it's always going to mirror those actions. This is how I would like to think it. So they always going to work in a good relation towards each other on the mirroring fashion. So this is something that I like to see when I use and exercise those subjects. And also what I want to see is the control. So when it comes to control, I like to think about my arm, my palm, my fingers as always extending. Even when I hold the club, I really like to see those thumbs always extending. So I'm going to give you some tips about this. Alright, the exercise I'm going to show you now, it's going to be for your wrist stability and control and coordination. I like to call this drill the 45 degrees activization. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to stay with my arms relaxed down, and I'm going to flex my wrist. Afterwards, I'm going to use my arm to extend on 45, and once when I extend on 45, I'm going to extend my wrist and go all the way to 90. I'm going to keep my wrist extend, pass through the center and go back to 45, and on this moment I'm going to start flexing all the way to 90. I'm going to keep this flexion again to 45 and extend, and then I'm going to keep this extension to 45 and do the flexion to 90. So one of the tips I like to do in this is keeping my elbow always internally rotated. So I don't like to see any of this. I like to keep it internally rotated and do everything with control over this internal rotation. So I'm going to show you this with extra tools. Alright, I'm going to take two clubs, left and right wedges. And I'm going to do this same exercise with the club. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to relax my arm and flex the wrist. So you can see the club, it's 90 degrees. And I'm going to start the exercise with the club. I'm going to lift on 45 and then I'm going to start extending to full extension of the wrist. Then I'm going to keep the wrist, extend all the way to 45 and then go ahead and flex it to 90. Then I'm going to go forward, keep it flexed and start extending. And then I'm going to keep it extend and then all the way on 45, flex, make sure you're 90 degrees. And again, if you decide that you can go ahead and move forward with this and it's too easy, you can always try the alternation drill, which is going to be the following. We're going to have one flexion on 45 and one extension on 45. Then we're going to pass those and make sure that we have a nice control over both arms, actions for flexion and extension. Hope this makes sense. If you have any question, you can always send me an email or just contact me through my website firststepgovbg.com, and I would love to get in touch. Thank you very much and have a wonderful